Alright, everybody. Good morning. Well, technically, good afternoon. So, welcome to quite possibly the most chaotic of predictions ever made. On my part, mainly because of the fact that I had to research into Michael Myers with the Versus Wiki, and the Versus Wiki doesn't have the third entry in the reboot timeline. So, I'm going to say this now. In case if you are wondering, if there's anything I say that is spoilery related, yeah, I recommend avoiding the part when I get to the 2018 part where I mention the third film, and pretty much summarize what happens to Michael at the end of the third film. So, if you don't want to get spoiled for the third reboot film, I recommend avoiding that part of the prediction. But other than that, let's get Bakugan to join us real quick, and then we'll switch over to the main image, and then I'll have some background music or whatever. So, yeah. Let's get ready for this. Okay, so joining me is Bakugan once again. Let's just hope the prediction doesn't go chaotically with the timelines.
And just to be fair, I'm only using research of Jason Voorhees from the official Death Battle fan and wiki.
Yeah, I'm using the Versus Wiki mainly for specific reasons.
Fair enough.
Though, while it doesn't mention Halloween Ends on that site yet, because, well, they haven't really added the stuff for it yet, I'm going to mention some stuff about it briefly, but it will be spoilery, so if anybody doesn't want to hear that part when I get to the 2018 timeline, I recommend avoiding that part of the prediction.
To be fair, I haven't watched Halloween Ends, but I heard that film sucks.
I don't say necessarily sucks. I mean, did people forget that the Rob Zombie films exist?
Hey, at least the 2018 film of the first Halloween film was good.
I mean, they were trying to come up with a unique trilogy, so I will give them that credit. And they were able to finally put an end to Michael, supposedly, but we all know how Hollywood is. They're probably going to bring him back at some point with an entire new film.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, since this is Jason versus Michael, let's switch over to live stream real quick and start with Jason Voorhees.
Oh boy, this is going to be a special snowflake. Now, as you all aware, Jason Voorhees was born in the 1940s as a physically and mentally disabled boy. Jason was put into a camp called Camp Crystal Lake by his loving mother when he was 11. However, a pack of rude camper kids bullied and insulted Jason for his deformity, pushing him into the lake. And since Jason couldn't swim, he ended up drowning as the camp counselors who were supposed to watch him were making love instead. Wow. That's very scummy of them.
Yep, that sums it up in a nutshell.
Yeah, so it ended up breaking his mother's heart and mind. So she thought it was a good idea to slaughter all the councils before being decapitated by the last surviving one. Somehow, giving Jason the strength to resurrect himself, don an iconic hockey mask, and spend the rest of his days killing all who steps a foot on the camp's grounds. Wow. Jason did not have an easy life as a kid. And at first I thought John Wick's backstory was even more heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So, his background. He's 6'5", weighs 270 pounds. He's 509 years old for some reason. He's an undead spirit that has immortality, drowned in a lake as a child, and he's fueled by vengeance. You getting this?
Yep, I'm getting this totally.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm only using the DB fandom wiki. So, for his powers and abilities, he has resurrection, seemingly comes back stronger with each resurrection. He has a healing factor, superhuman strength, teleportation. Now, for those of you wondering, this is because Jason vanishes into the lake fog and then reappears near his target. This is the reason why Jason can catch up to his victims despite his slow gait. He has possession, he can hypnotize hearts, he has superhuman durability, and he has invulnerability. Such as his weapons, dons his iconic machete, a simple weapon used to slaughter his enemies. He also carries an axe, some chains, and in Jason X, he also has his iconic armor as well. But I don't know if they're going to be using him because, Jason X was more like a sci-fi film. He also
Well,
carries bows and arrows, a future machete, and can use almost anything in the environment as a weapon. For his feats, however, he killed 154 people, fought and defeated Freddy Krueger, actually held his own against Freddy in the dream world where he is at his strongest. Survived being stabbed with his own machete, survived having his eyes being gouged out by Freddy Krueger's clawed glove, stood toe to toe against Mortal Kombat characters with his own set of moves, can decapitate people with a single punch, falls off a mountain and walks it off, killed the 1%. Wait, hold on. This just got my attention. Who's the 1%?
not sure, but since you mentioned Jason X, I'm gonna mention this for you. The regular Jason also fought Jason X in a comic.
Wait, really?
Yep, and not only that, remember MKX? Leatherface was also in that game too. So he
Huh?
also fought Leatherface in a comic, but it was non-canon. It was
Yeah, so who's the 1%?
the 1%. That I don't know. It's been a while since I watched Friday the 13th, so yeah, I'm gonna have to look this up while I'm at it. Killing
Okay.
the 1%. Uh, I'm not finding anything, but yeah, like you said, you're using the Death Battle Fanon wiki. I'm using Versus wiki. I can actually, now that I think about it, I could just use the Versus wiki technically for both. But
Okay.
let's see here. Versus, okay, Jason Voorhees. That's what I want. Not Jason Lee Scott, not Jason Grace, Jason Voorhees. Oh yeah, so there's the original timeline with human, undead, and Uber Jason, and then you got the remake.
Hmm.
Yeah,
We
final.
really don't know who the 1%.
Yeah, 1% I am not too sure about. Oh, right, I forgot there was that one crossover comic that tied in as the sequel to Freddy vs. Jason. Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash from Evil Dead.
Let's just continue. I'm just going to continue the feats of strength. He once threw a playground ride hard enough to cause a helicopter to crash. I'm not going to question that. Survived being electrocuted, drowned, execution by firing squad, a building falling on top of him, and even being hung and is still going. He even lifted and threw a car, stomped his foot through two people, is able to beat the force of a Necronomicon ex mortis, survived an explosion that sent him into space twice. Once he can survive the vacuum of space, and he survived a fall from space. Survived a black hole from the Jason X novel. Capable of tearing limbs off with his bare hands, crushed someone's head so hard that they had their eyes popped out. In his Uber Jason form, he is immune to explosions and is bulletproof. Somehow managed to escape hell and could even evade many oxygen tanks. This guy is a beast. However, for his weaknesses, he's almost always get killed by teenagers, once by a kid in the climax of his movies. He can be killed by decapitation and was melted into toxic waste. He can be dragged back into hell, he can be imprisoned if trapped in the waters of Crystal Lake, and can't escape without outside help. Despite having the endurance to survive fatal organ damage, he has no superhuman durability. He can be amputated and dismembered just as easily as any other human. He moves very slowly, he has low intelligence, and he's insane. His intentions are predictable. And he is easily influenced by his mother or anyone who resembles her. He has no effective long range weaponry whatsoever. But other than that, Jason's is really a complete menace.
So yeah, pretty much from what you're saying, Jason can use not just his machete, but anything at his disposal.
Yeah, and
And
basically any object in his surroundings as well.
so yeah. Now, since if they include Jason X, which is probably most likely since it's part of the original timeline, ironically, they I don't know if Michael will win that. But anyways, let's let's get ready for the bullshit that is the multiple timelines with Michael. Starting with the original slash Thorn timeline from
Oh,
Halloween to Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 4, 5, and 6.
you said Halloween 3 has nothing to do with Michael Myers?
Yeah, Halloween Season of the Witch is more of an anthology film based on cursed masks, and it was a failed attempt at an anthology series because, well, people wanted Michael Myers as like the
Well,
poster boy for the franchise.
who was the killer? That film has to have a killer, right? The
It
main villain.
was it was like a cult of that possessed mask. I don't know. I've never watched Halloween 3 to know what it's really about.
That was fucking stupid.
But yeah, so at the young age of 6, Michael Audrey Myers, yes, that's his full name, killed
Huh.
his elder sister, Judith, and was placed in an institution. 15 years later, Michael escapes and returns home on Halloween to stalk and kill a fresh set of victims, focusing his efforts on Laurie Strode, referred to as pure evil by his psychiatrist, Samuel Loomis. He silently and single-mindedly stalks his victims and brutally murders them without any restraint.
Oh.
So this is going to be the original. I'm starting with the original timeline. So H2O timeline. It's pretty much the same summary. Same with the 2018 timeline. So we got the summary out of the way. So for the original timeline, he scales from 9C to 9B in terms of tier of power. He's also
Oh.
known as the Shape, the Boogeyman. In the Thorn timeline, he's known as the some timelines he's known as the Nightmare Man. In the Thorn timeline, he's known as the Host of Thorn. H2O timeline, well, H2O timeline, he's still a Host of Thorn and Nightmare Man. But
Oh.
the 2018 one has nothing to do with the Host of Thorn. He's just more of a human slash supernatural type in terms of power. But let's.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little off track. Let's go back to the Thorn timeline just before we jump into the skid marks that is the spoilery territory in the 2018 timeline. So,
Okay.
so all of his original abilities in the normal timeline, he has peak human physical characteristics, self mastery, pain inhibition. At, I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, but I'll let it slide. So, pretty much, his most defining characteristics is superhuman mastery of stealth, allowing him to endlessly stalk his prey whilst eluding both their senses and those of bystanders. Hid on top of a woman's cart and stole it before she even realized. Vanished after Annie attempted to search for him. Despite Laurie keeping a visual lock on him, he managed to completely elude her detection. Completely disappears from sight before Annie could spot him. Was practically invisible to Annie after breaking into her car. Only alerting her after revealing himself, managed to creep up on Laurie despite the house being dead silent. After falling out of the window, he retreated just as quickly as Laurie and Dr. Loomis could react, duping the both of them. Pain inhibition. Uh, was stunned after being stabbed in the neck with a needle, but recovered immediately, although Laurie stabbing him in the eye with a hanger greatly wounded him. Being shot once did not faze him. Even after being shot more times, he got back up right after.
Huh. I looked up the versus wiki on Jason, and turns out the hockey mask wasn't the only thing he wore. He also wore a bag on his head, and I even managed to see his unmasked face.
Yeah, and there's 3 different versions of Jason. There's the human variant, there's the undead variant, and then there's undead being Jason lives, new blood, Jason takes Manhattan, Jason goes to hell. Probably the one people are most familiar with.
Hmm.
Well, pretty much people are familiar with him wearing the hockey mask in general. So, anyways,
Didn't his didn't his mask get embodied with his face?
who knows? So attack potency, street level. In Halloween, he punched a hole through a wooden door, which required this much energy and broke down a closet door over time. In Halloween 2, he casually walked through a glass door and ripped open a wooden door, although with significant effort. Wall level is just as strong, if not stronger, than he was in Halloween 2, considering his supernatural empowerment, tossed a man through the air with minimal effort, ripped the door handle off completely, broke a windshield with his head, which would require nearly this much energy, stomped a cop's head into pieces, generating this much energy, shattered a wooden cabinet to pieces after rushing into a room, and later sprinted a wooden door into pieces.
Huh.
Wall levels is just as strong, if not stronger, than he was in Halloween 2. Nearly crushed Jim's skull with his bare hands, launched Freddy across the room twice,
Hmm.
generating this much energy, tore open a wooden door with his knife, and much later walked through one with ease.
I'm kind of curious how Jason won the fight in Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, yeah, no, this is a totally different Freddy. It's not spelled with a Y.
Oh wait, then is
It's,
it Freddie?
yes, that. It's spelled like that.
Okay.
So, and effortlessly decapitated Jennifer with his knife. Wall level, much older than he was in Halloween, but just as if not stronger. Crushed Sartain's skull with zero effort. I'm guessing Sartain was what, the reboot?
I haven't watched Halloween.
I think it was a reboot, so it's gonna mention some things of the reboot, so I'll let it slide. Uh, Either that or it might be Sartain's just part of the franchise altogether. I'm not really too sure. Skull with zero effort easily overpowered a team of firefighters. Okay, yep, this is starting to mention some parts of the reboot.
Okay.
Smashed Tommy's head in with a baseball bat, outmatched Laurie and threw her out of a window. So that's the attack potency, and this was original timeline. So Thorn timeline. Well, we gotta do the speed first for the original, because there's like 4 categories. Okay, so speed, peak human. In Halloween, he frequently disappeared from sight, eluding the senses of those around him. In Halloween 2, he managed to get the jump on Alice from close range and murdered Bernard before he could react. Should be just as fast, if not faster, than his Halloween 2 self. Traveled from the roof of a house to the ground floor in mere seconds. Attacked Dr. Loomis before he could react. Slaughtered an entire police station, albeit off screen, with subsonic reactions. Evaded a with subsonic reactions, evaded a bullet at the last second. Peak
Hmm.
human should be just as fast, if not faster, than his Halloween 2 self. Retreated in time. It took Laurie to retrieve her gun, despite Laurie keeping a visual lock on him. Okay, so this is pretty much mentioning some Halloween 2018 reboot stuff, but like I said, I'll let it slide. Because Versus Wiki doesn't really have shit organized, but I will work with what I got. But,
Yeah.
outmatched Rudy in combat, evading all of his attacks, managed to catch up to John and Molly despite the two having a massive head start. Peak human
Oh.
should be just as fast, if not faster, than his Halloween self. Stalked Lonnie down back in '78 and disappeared just before the police arrived. Then managed to elude a young Deputy Hawkins entirely after he caught up before rushing another officer and completely catching him off guard. Redirected the woman's magnum right before she could shoot him, and later disarmed Allison before she could fire her shotgun. After getting his second wind, he effortlessly outclassed a lynch mob by a vast margin.
This is gonna be a problem for me and you because I don't know what kind of version of Jason or Michael they're gonna be using in the fight.
That's the problem. That's the biggest issue with this fight. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm excited for a slasher battle, but what version of the timelines are you going to be using? Are you going to
First,
be?
yeah. More importantly, how is the fight gonna work out? Not because of it's either gonna be 2D sprite
I mean,
or
sure
3D
they got
or
Terrordrome
but
sprites for Jason and Michael, but do you really want to use those?
Yeah, but do they really think they? Do they really think they? Jason and Michael are both immortals, and I don't see how they're able to kill each other.
Though, if they use 2018 timeline, okay. I might as well get this spoiler out of the way. Yes, Lori does beat Michael and ties him to a truck, taking him to a uh, an industrial grinder with the townsfolk following her, and she throws Michael's body. So, spoiler warning, this is part of the ending. Throws Michael's body in it, destroying it completely.
Wow. Hey, at least it's not Ghostface versus Michael.
So yeah, if they use the 2018 one, chances are Michael might be probably screwed.
Yeah.
Because it's not involving the Curse of Thorn or whatever. Because
Let's just be glad he's not fighting against Ghostface.
Yeah, Ghostface is mostly human, if memory serves me
He has more.
correctly.
He had more than one identity that he's been used as a killer in the 4 films.
Technically, there's more films than that. There's Scream 5, there's Scream 6, I think. I think there's a 6th
How
Scream
is there?
film.
There's also an MTV series.
Yeah, that had a rocky start with the crappy Ghostface design, but then they ended up fixing it.
Mm-hmm. One
But
time they even. I also realized that the people who made the film was actually the same people who made Spy Kids and Scary Movie.
well then. Anyways, lifting strength for Michael. Peak human Michael is a hulking beast of a man, and in Halloween he lifted Bob into the air with one arm, effortlessly choked out a German Shepherd. Apologies if anybody loves animals, but that's part of the movie. I can't control that. Unearthed his sister Judith's tombstone by himself, with tombstones weighing between 100 and 1,000, 120 and 1,000 pounds. Later on in Halloween 2, he lifted Jill into the air with using a scalpel and broke into open a brass lock. At least
Seriously,
class 1, possibly class 10. Scales to his Halloween 2 self. He has effortlessly snapped several people's necks, which requires it's showing me links to a certain amount of force. Raised Mary into the air with one arm, launched a grown man across great distance with zero effort, latched onto the roof of a car as it swerved erratically, ripped open a metal grate with significant effort, savagely twisted and mangled Rob's arms, as the door lock until its shape popped open, can support his own body weight with one arm. He can also support both his and Laurie's body weight with one arm. Overpowered and launched Freddy across the room twice. Ripped the kitchen counter off from the ground with significant effort, with countertops weighing nearly 600 pounds. Raised a firefighter into the air with his own pick. Effortlessly snapped Cameron's neck, okay, it's just showing me how much force. Striking strength at street level class. He shattered a window with a single slap, punched a hole through a wooden door, and overpowered a young Laurie with little effort. He jammed a hammer into a man's skull, broke down a wooden door after some time, knocked a metal grate to the ground after slamming a man into it, nearly twisted a man's head off of his neck entirely, punched through a window and tore a man's neck open, jammed a shotgun through both a door and a woman's stomach, destroyed a man's skull with the blade of a shovel, overpowered Donna, and shoved her into a metal spike, stabbed Charlie through his neck with the blade of a tripod, slammed his head through a window, broke down a barricaded door with moderate effort, effortlessly overpowered a police officer in 78, brutalized Aaron, used the back of his head to break open a bathroom stall door, kicked down a police partition with minimal effort. Durability. In Halloween, he survived being shocked 6 times and fell falling off of a 2-story balcony. In Halloween 2, he survived a major gas explosion that blew apart an entire room, although he collapsed shortly after. Even disregarding his immortality and regenerative capabilities on top of his feats from the original timeline, Michael has taken an onslaught of heavy weapons, several vehicle accidents, and all of which generate this much energy, at the very least being beaten with a shotgun, a metal pipe, a wooden plank, and a metal bar, and several house explosions.
I don't think it's a good idea to use a shotgun as a melee weapon at
Eh,
all.
I mean, for a serial killer, he works with what he's got.
I mean, usually shotguns are mainly used for shooting people.
Well, serial killers can find a way to work around things. Immortality and regeneration makes him difficult to kill, though depending on which timeline, it'll probably be whatever. But we'll see which immortal can be land the killing blow first, and which one can outlast who. Ugh. Among his feats from the original timeline, he is consistently beaten down by his targets and always comes out practically unscathed. My phone kinda did a thing. I was not talking to the phone. Anyways, uh, he is so durable that a shovel snapped against his chest. Even though 40 years had passed since the original. Oh, so this is going into reboot territory. Even though 40 years have passed since the events of the first Halloween, Michaels is just as, if not even more durable and resilient than ever, surviving a police cruiser ramming into him, which would mean taking this much energy, at least, very least, although the attack did leave him unconscious for some time, enduring an entire lynching from a crazed mob with pipes and bats, walking through a fire hose with no reaction, and shaking off a bag of bricks to his temple, a crowbar to the head, and a frying pan to the face.
I don't.
Immortality and empowerment makes him difficult to kill.
I don't see how Jason is going to win this.
It depends. If they remember, Uber Jason is like a stronger version of Jason. Essentially, if they include him, he might have a fighting chance.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So stamina, all across all iterations of the character, Michael has demonstrated an abnormal, borderline supernatural, and actually supernatural in 2 cases. Remember, Jason in the original time, the Jason is also considered undead. He's a revenant, so he's not really alive, so to say. So how are you gonna kill something
Walking.
that's so technically how are you gonna kill something that's already dead?
Yeah, he's more like a walking zombie with sentience.
Essentially. So stamina across all iterations of the character, Michael has demonstrated abnormal and borderline supernatural, actually supernatural in 2 cases, a degree of physical resilience and endurance, enabling him to survive the onslaught of attacks ranging from stab wounds, gunshots, car crashes, and explosions. That his helpless victims attempt to impede him with. He is relentless in his approach and will seemingly endlessly chase his target, oftentimes or he strode to the ends of the earth in order to get what he wants. Standard melee range, that's his attack range. Standard equipment, a kitchen knife. So yeah, there's a chance that Jason could win this because, well, for one, Michael only uses mostly a kitchen knife.
Yeah, a machete is
Intelligence
cooler, but a kitchen knife? Come on. Michael can do better than that. He could have gone like a combat knife.
Intelligence above average. Michael shows cunning despite his simple, brutal method of killing, using his skill to stealth to sneak up and kill unsuspecting victims, often playing dead. He also often kills the power and disables landlines before entering to murder his victims. In confrontation with Lori, he left a trail of blood towards the closet and opened the balcony doors to hide his true location. Luring Louis close enough to attack her, above average. Michael's intellect is comparable to before, and he even has foresight to disable all near cars to prevent his prey from escaping. In H2O, he fakes his death by crushing a paramedic's larynx and forcing them to switch clothes,
Mm.
allowing him to escape while they died in his place. In the following film, he exploits Lori's newfound trauma to get her into a position that would allow him to kill her, Above average, an expert in stealth, capable of traversing a neighborhood unnoticed at a casual pace, has the foresight to kill power and disable landlines, often plays dead to create a false sense of security, outmatched Laurie in a one-on-one confrontation, the latter of which had taken 40 years of self-defense training in preparation for killing Myers. Weaknesses. None notable. The entity that controls Michael Thorn, that's the Thorn timeline, risks causing Michael to suddenly become inactive. A ritual can also be performed to separate Thorn from Michael, depriving him from his power. None notable. This is the original timeline, by the way. As a result of
Sure.
Laurie's attack in 78, stabbing him in the eye with the clothes hanger, Michael is blind in his left eye, and following the events of Halloween 2018, he is also missing his left pinky and ring finger. However, these hardly seem to impede him. So, and feats respect thread. I don't know what that. Oh, it's taken me to a Reddit page. Okay.
A Reddit page.
Okay, so as the Green reboot slash final timeline ignores Halloween 2, I will separate the two movies this time around. So, in case you're wondering, that means that any feat in Halloween 1978 applies to Myers and Halloween 2018, the H2 timeline, or the Thorn timeline. But Halloween 2 only applies to H2O and Thorn Michael. Okay, so 28. The reboot, the final timeline literally applies to only the first Halloween movie.
Hmm. Okay.
So, okay, here. Oh, yes, they're even including the zombie reboot, which probably has nothing to do with the character because it goes into too much backstory of his childhood. But I will mention the ages. He was 21 in Halloween 1 and 2. He was 29 in the zombie reboot. He was 38 in Halloween 6, 45 in Resurrection, and 61 in the Green reboot.
Funny enough about Jason's age, I actually recently found out on the Versus wiki that he's actually. Hang on. Hang on. Where is it?
I,
Here it is. He's actually 33 to 38 years old in the previous films. He was 64, then 509 years during Jason X.
so, yeah, undead serial killer. So, Uber Jason slash Jason X. So, yeah, they might most likely include Jason X, but depending on how they do it, they'll most likely include undead Jason plus undead. Plus, to be fair, Jason can't be. You can't really kill Jason.
Yeah, he's undead. I
Plus,
don't see how win this.
so yeah, though the only weaknesses Jason has is being reminded of his mother can stop Jason in his tracks. Jason's resurrection does not him to rapidly recover from extreme trauma, same as before. He can be incapacitated by trapping him in the water's crystal lake. Pretty much all the stuff you said about him. But
Thomas Boy.
here's the thing: his nanomachines can absorb too much energy and short out. If if we go by Jason X here. Jason will choose not to use some of his powers if they don't fulfill his need for destruction and violence. So yeah, Jason's most likely gonna win this fight.
Yeah, I don't see how Michael's gonna win this.
Yeah, and depending on which timeline they're gonna use, they'll probably go with the most recent timeline. That way it avoids utter confusion.
Makes sense.
Michael probably won't recover from being decapitated or whatever.
Yeah. Good luck, Michael Myers.
But hey, that doesn't mean I'm still gonna enjoy a slasher fight, so that makes it even more interesting.
Yeah, I usually watch the fights just for either the score or the fight themselves.
Yeah, which is exactly why I had to judge the Predator and the Boba Fett fight because a lot of people think that one's the weakest when clearly the weakest fight is goes to Scarlet Witch versus Satana. So remember that fight that is the weakest one of the bunch. But yeah, you get the idea.
Mm.
So final thoughts. Who would win this? I would have to go with Jason.
Same here. I don't see how Michael's gonna win this.
If they even if they include Jason X, hell, Jason. Here's what's funny about the comic, and I'm gonna mention this now because there was a Jason Voorhees versus Jason X comic. Jason had a hard time fighting Jason X. So yeah, right here, the 2006 comic of Jason versus Jason X, and literally these two literally fought each other, and the nanomachines helped him keep himself at bay, the regular Jason at bay, but Jason X overpowered him pretty badly.
Oh.
So yeah, you could tell that Jason X is a very improved version of Jason.
Mm. Michael's fucked.
Yeah, Michael. I don't see Michael winning this. I really don't. Unless they go with the Thorn timeline, but that's just pushing it. Because the H2O timeline is totally different. Where it's
What even is the timeline? Like, what is that?
okay, it goes Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween H2O 20 years later, and Halloween Resurrection.
Oh.
So yeah, and 2018 timeline ignores the other films completely. Like it just goes from Halloween 1978, Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills 2021, and Halloween Ends 2022. Even though it doesn't say that on the page, but I'm going to include it because they need to really update their fucking shit.
Yeah, they should. Remember what Stanley said? It's the writers' thing to do to decide who should be the victor.
And while Michael Myers only appeared in 2 different games, even though the Atari one didn't mention Michael Myers, he also appeared in Dead by Daylight, which I will not be mentioning most of, but I will mention that in that game he's a 9B in terms of tier of power.
What about Jason Voorhees? Is he in
No,
Dead by Daylight?
sadly no. While Freddy Krueger, Leatherface, Michael Myers, Ghostface, the pig character from Saw, Pinhead, there's so many slashers in that thing, it's ridiculous. But you'd think by now, with the whole fucking thing over with, they'll be able to put Jason in the game by now, right? Like, despite him having his own freaking game.
Yeah, they should really put Jason in the game. Even Springtrap.
I don't know about Springtrap. I really don't. Hey, Dom. Welcome to the stream. And yes, even Dom agrees with us that Jason would destroy Michael.
Oh, oh, Don or Dom is a special snowflake with us.
Yeah, he's watched my reactions before, so he's seen my streams too, and he's talked to me during my streams, even if it's non-death battle related.
Oh,
But yeah, he's seen my reactions to my death battles, and yep, we can agree that Jason would kill Michael.
yeah, Jason.
I mean,
Is
hell,
Dom.
even a fan film, even though it's not canon, a fan film literally just shows Jason beating Michael brutally, killing him, and then stabbing him with his own machete, and then he walks off hearing the voice of his mother, but not before it teases us with sequel bait with showing that Michael survived. Holding Jason's machete!
Oh, holy shit!
And that was a fan film! From 2019!
A fan film from 2019.
Something that was on a small budget. Ugh. But yeah, you get the idea. If the fan film could depict Jason winning against Myers, I'm pretty sure Myers is going
To lose, and he's very, very fucked.
He's very fucked. Depending on no matter what timeline you're going with here, he's fucked from the get-go. Like even in the reboot timeline, he's literally fucking chucked into an industrial grinder destroying his body completely. There's no recovery from that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unless it's
I literally saw that, and I was like, yeah, good luck coming back from the dead from that. Oh, wait, Hollywood.
unless if Deadpool pulls some random bullshit, they're just gonna upset the fans.
Though, they say that it's pretty much the end of that timeline, and, well, in my opinion, I enjoyed Halloween, and so it wasn't a bad movie from some people. In other words, it's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Like, you love it or you hate it, so... But I will give it credit, it did reference Halloween 3 Season of the Witch's logo font in the end credits, as well as referencing the song Don't Fear the Reaper
Mm.
when the
Don't
credits
fear
begun to
the
roll. So yeah, final thoughts, Jason wins by
Michael fucked.
a fucking landslide. Even if you include the various timelines that Michael has, there's no way Jason's gonna lose it. Sure, you could use the Curse of Thorn, but that is barely pushing it. Because Jason, well, you can't really kill Jason. No matter what.
He's like a zombie if he has sentience.
Yeah. And also,
But-
yes, Curse of Thorn is essentially a thing from a cult in the original timeline. Where it was like a pagan ritual and shit, because, well, Halloween was originally a pagan holiday before it became Halloween. It was called Samhain, or Saman, or whatever the hell it's pronounced as. And this is coming from someone who's pagan as well, which I should know. But yeah, even though the symbol in the films is slightly different, you get the idea. The symbol of thorn is essentially a sign of evil. But, like I said, even including that, that's just pushing it. And also, including the SpongeBob Aquaman fight, boy, that was one crazy and funny match. Though, I will admit, that battle did get a tearjerker out of me because I wasn't expecting him to go hard on Aquaman's death. But it was still enjoyable regardless.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah,
Rest in peace, hero. Rest in peace.
So yeah, pretty much, depends. I say Jason wins no matter what timeline they go with through Michael, but it depends if they include Jason X. They'll probably include him, most likely, but since that was like the 10th film in the original movies, before the crossover with Freddy and Jason. But yeah, hopefully, I'm probably going to guess why they're doing this fight now. I think it's not just because of the Halloween Ends most recently coming out. I'm willing to bet it's probably the announcement of a possible new Friday the 13th film. I don't know. But hey, we get to go to the Death Battle fandom and find out the trivia. So that way we can see why it's being done. Oh, that's funny. Fittingly enough, for the Names of Both Combatants Home series, this episode is not only the 13th episode, but it's also its YouTube releases on Halloween itself.
Oh! Halloween 31st.
Yep. Here it is. With the most recent Friday the 13th being released in 2009. Okay, so that's the reboot. This episode will be released 13 years after Jason's latest theatrical appearance. Okay. I heard there was going to be a new Friday the 13th movie, but I don't know if there's going to be an official confirmation, because after that whole debacle with the lawsuit or whatever, yeah.
Michael is fucked.
So yeah. Oh yeah, trivia. Like I said, both Jason and Michael have also appeared in video games as guest characters, with Jason being a playable combatant in Mortal Kombat XXL, and Michael being a playable killer in survival horror game Dead by Daylight under the moniker The Shape. And the original Friday the 13th was inspired by Halloween during its production.
Oh. Michael could have been in Mortal Kombat as well. I'm just saying.
So, third horror-themed episode after Leon vs. Frank and... Wait, Saberwolf vs. John Talbane's a horror-themed one? What about Dracula vs. Ganon? Isn't that horror-themed? Or Alucard vs. Dio? Isn't that horror-themed?
I mean, the fight mostly took place in October, but it wasn't really a Halloween special video, so...
Okay, so this is the 5th movies-themed episode after Terminator vs. Robocop, Godzilla vs. Gamera, Boba Fett vs. Predator, and James Bond vs. John Wick. Well, more like book character versus movie character. But I'll let the wiki slide. Prior to the episode, Brandon Yates made a track for the matchup called 13th Halloween as part of his fan-made commissions. Well, we already know who's probably going to do the track for that.
Brandon Yates himself.
And it's probably going to be named differently because this is the third time a matchup, a Yates track prior became an actual episode. After Blake vs. Mikasa, Goku Black vs. Reverse Flash, and the next two being Galactus vs. Unicron and Ruby vs. Maka.
Funny enough, Brandon Yates didn't really start off of making Death Battle tracks. He also started making some other tracks in his past for 1 Minute Melee.
Oh yeah, I know about those. And I think the last track he ever did for 1 Minute Melee was tracks for Superman vs. Saitama.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely, if I could say this, Death Battle, we need another Resident Evil combatant on the show. Either Wesker versus Kazuya or Nemesis versus Pyramid Head. I don't care, just do it. Like, you only did one Resident Evil character, and that was Leon Kennedy. But yeah, so also, Halloween Ends released 3 days before this episode was revealed. Okay. Wesker versus Blade, I think Kazuya versus Wesker is a little more fitting. Because Kazuya has the double gene, Wesker has Ouroboros.
Wesker versus Kazuya? Dude, you can't be serious.
I kinda am.
Why would you want to pit Wesker against Kazuya?
Both run companies. Think about it. Both of them run Umbrella. One of them runs Umbrella, one of them runs G Corporation, so it makes total sense. The connections are right fucking there.
And they both are like literal monsters.
Pretty much. Double Kazuya and the mutated Wesker from Resident Evil 5. The black sheep of the series.
He then got killed by rockets.
Yeah, with the meme, Chris! But yeah, that's literally Chris Redfield versus Soldier 76? Maybe. I honestly don't know. But, yeah. Oh, this makes the third episode to have either its Rooster Teeth or YouTube release date to land on Halloween night after Ryu vs. Scorpion and Saberwolf vs. John Talbane.
Ryu versus Scorpion. I remember that fight.
Oh, so this episode, this matchup was originally going to be the 12th episode, with the original 13th being SpongeBob vs. Aquaman. So I think that was a good call on their part.
Yeah, it was.
Considering that it's the 13th episode of this season, it's also going to be released on Halloween. So why not do this episode during that time frame?
Huh.
It makes total sense. The planets align perfectly with that. But yeah, final thoughts. Jason, is going to destroy Michael. No matter
Yeah,
what, even if they include Jason X, Michael is already fucked from the get-go.
yeah, Jason stomps. Michael's fucked.
So yeah, that was our little prediction. But yeah, thank you for joining me once again for this prediction.
And thank you, Storm, for having me on your prediction. I'll see you in 2 weeks for the fight.
Yep.
Hey, if there's anything we missed from our prediction, let me know.
I'll keep an eye out and if there's any details we missed.
All right, see ya.
All right. So yeah, Jason Stomps Michael. Definitely gonna be seeing you guys in 2 weeks for the react. And also, Dom, what do you think of my VTuber model? I actually came up with this design because I basically combined my Hedgewolf with my samurai character and just made it one unique person. But it's not fully complete. Like, it's just myself in a hoodie, but you get the idea. I was trying to do my best with what I had to work with. But thank you. Anyways, that was our little prediction for Jason versus Michael. I can definitely say Michael is utterly fucked from the start. Like, no matter what timeline you use, Michael's fucked. So hopefully you all enjoyed. Till then, your Captain of the Hedge Fleet signing off. I will see you in the next stream. I'll probably do a fighting game stream. I might, in fact, since it is the month of October, I'll probably do Terradrome. I'll play a little bit of Terradrome since I haven't played it in a while. So till then, Captain Hedge Fleet signing off. I'll see you in the next stream.